Hello all, this is Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. I am Jonas Holdeman.
And I'm Faithless Forrest. And we want you to know that if you don't believe in God, you're not alone. Right here in East Tennessee, you can find free-thinking atheists and agnostics. This is a show for them and for people committed to a life rooted in science and free of supernatural beliefs.
On today's show, we have a guest from the Sunday Assembly of Knoxville, Adrienne Weber, and we are going to learn from her about the Sunday Assembly.
But first we want to tell you a little bit about the sponsors of our show. The Atheist Society of Knoxville frequently has a fun meetup at a bar or eatery. Tonight's meetup is at the Barley's Pizzeria and Tap Room, I guess it's called, in the Old City, starting at around 5:30. Look for the silver-jacketed copy of The God Delusion standing upright on the table. And as Matt Dillahunty at Atheist Experience says, everyone is welcome to our happy hour for food, drink, and conversation. But if you plan to preach, proselytize, provoke, or punch, please don't.
And the Rationalists of East Tennessee have several regular monthly meetings. The first and third Sunday mornings of the month are usually lectures with lively roundtable discussions. These are held in the cafeteria annex in the Goins building at Pellissippi State Community College. The program starts at 10:30, but come early for coffee and conversation. On the second Sunday, we hold the Skeptics Book Club discussion. On the fourth Sunday, we're now alternating with a get-together we call potluck get-together we call Reflections meeting, it's usually held in someone's home, and on alternate fourth Sundays some will meet to play board games and similar activities.
All right, later in the show we will give you our websites to visit for additional details, including times and locations. Well, let's move to in the news. We would be remiss if we did not address the events in Paris where the religiously motivated killings have left 17 persons dead. The attacks focused on the staff of the satire cartoon magazine Charlie, I'm going to guess it's pronounced Hebdo, and of course other persons were victims. The magazine has published cartoons critical of many persons and religions, including Mohammed and Islam. This attack has certainly silenced the voices of the dead, but they cannot be allowed to silence society of dialogues on understanding the world in which we live.
I believe that ultimately these violent acts are self-defeating in our modern age of communication, where it is so easy for people to see peaceful alternatives. I hope in this screenshot of the BBC News, where mourners have placed among what I think are votive candles, pencils, and tools of the cartoonists. They echo that sentiment, and I have heard all my life that the pen is mightier than the sword. May it be so with the cartoonist pencil.
Yes, I'll say so. I heard recently that I guess the regular circulation of Charlie Hebdo is like 60,000, and they're going to print 1 million copies. So,
and on time.
All right. Mm-hmm. The world's going to, I hope, stand up and say, we can't be silenced. Something that perhaps we should mention is the name of our program is Freethought Forum. This stems from the day when non-believers in the United States, or let's say the Western and Christian world, had to stand up and say, we have the right to at least ask questions. We have the right to speak our mind. And that's what free thought was all about, was essentially claiming the right to commit blasphemy. And that's what the cartoonists at that magazine I can't reliably pronounce, were exercising that right as well. All right. Well, another item. Via his blog, The Friendly Atheist, I believe it'd be pronounced Hemant Mehta, alerted us to the following. In Alabama, at the urging of Mayor Randy Price, the Winfield City Council has declared Winfield a city under God, and that God is the owner of the city.
Oh, Forrest, I have to wonder if gifting property this way is okay with the appropriate powers of is within the appropriate powers of the elected officials. Still no word if God or the churches will be paying property tax, but I wouldn't bet on it. A quick visit to the city's website shows they also maintain a directory of churches. No Jewish temples, of course, must be Christian churches. No Jewish temples or mosques are listed.
Nope. All righty. Well, I guess we've worked through the news, and now it's time to talk with our guest about the Sunday Assembly. Now, I've made the title slide here saying the Sunday Assembly, and I began to wonder as I did that, is the usually attached to it, or do you usually say Sunday Assembly?
Just Sunday Assembly.
All right. And I may often add an extra the in there because I've fallen into the habit.
That's all right.
So our guest today is Adrian Weber, and you are one of the organizers of the local Sunday Assembly. And I guess what we're going to want to do is tell our viewers all about that. And so I guess begin and tell us, what is Sunday Assembly?
Okay. Sunday Assembly is essentially a congregation of people that meet together to hear talks, sing songs, and just generally celebrate life. It's all the best parts of church, but without religion. There's no deity, dogma, or doctrine. It attributes the origin of the universe to natural rather than supernatural causes. But it's also a place of love and acceptance. So if you do believe in those things, we're not going to tell you that you're wrong.
All righty. So I guess what would be like the origins of this?
Well, what do you have to distinguish yourselves? How do you describe yourselves?
Well, the motto is live better, help often, and wonder more. And so everything we do basically revolves around those three principles. To live better, we just want to have inspirational, thought-provoking talks and ideas that can help people in their everyday lives. Help often, we want to be a community of action and just help each other. If you're sick and need some chicken noodle soup, or if you're moving. And then we also do volunteer work throughout the community as well. And then for Wonder More, we just want to do things to connect ourselves with each other in the world, like having good speakers, singing songs, playing games, and eating good food. We like to do potluck dinners also.
Well, in the interest of full disclosure, I've attended some Sunday Assembly events, but let me ask, what kind of programs have you had, or speakers?
Some of the speakers that we've had 4 so far. We launched on September 28th, and the theme of that one was community, and we did a TED Talk on that one. And then in October, the theme was nature, and we were fortunate to get one of my old college professors, Dr. Nolt, to come and speak. He's an environmental ethics professor who actually just came out with a book on Amazon. I'm going to plug him, talking about long-term environmental ethics. And then in November, the theme was gratitude. And so we just really focused on being grateful for what you have and the power of radical sufficiency. Because if you don't appreciate what you have, you're never
Radical
gonna be
sufficiency.
happy.
All right.
And then in December, it was giving, just, in keeping with the spirit of the season. And we actually had a speaker, Chris Hall. He's the Chief Operating Officer of Remote Area Medical, come. And then we're actually skipping the Sunday Assembly in January because the location where we normally have it, they're going to be doing construction. But it will resume in February, the 22nd, and it's going to be a really hippy-dippy theme, peace and love. So we've got that in the works right now.
Adrian, where are these meetings held?
They are held at the Charlestown Landing Clubhouse, which is located at 8601 Old Carriage Court, which is in West Knoxville off of Westland Drive. So it's a pretty convenient location to people in Maryville and Oak Ridge. And
So I come up from Maryville. What other distances are people traveling from? Have you any idea of your geographic reach?
Not really. Maryville's about the farthest that I know of. I don't know, maybe we should start giving out an award.
There
for
we go. Who traveled the
travel.
farthest?
Oldest, youngest, all of that.
All righty. So, you didn't invent Sunday Assembly. What's the story behind that?
I wish I could say that I did.
Oh,
We had a delightening experience there.
But the history of Sunday Assembly is that it was started in January of 2013, so it's actually celebrating its 2-year anniversary, by 2 British comedians, Sanderson Jones and Pippa Evans. They were on their way to a gig, just having a conversation, and thought, hey, wouldn't it be great if there was a church for non-religious people? And the first one they had was a big hit. I think they had 200-something people show up. And now the following is so big, they have 2 services twice a month, which the standard assembly is just once a month.
but that's in London.
I mean, it's in London, so yeah, go figure.
All righty. So, I guess we got a map here showing that this is actually going on worldwide. And you said that you did the first one on September 28th.
Yes.
Yeah, 28th. I got the number right.
You did.
I guess there was a big push to start a lot of chapters on that date. Any idea how many were successfully started on that date?
On that date, 35 were launched. And so
Okay.
I think that puts the total at about 65 worldwide. And 25 of those are in the U.S. So I know the closest chapters to us are Atlanta and Nashville and Charlotte.
Okay.
I heard something about Chattanooga.
I've heard that they're starting one up. I haven't been in touch with anyone from there, but I do know they have a pretty big free thought community. So
Yeah.
that doesn't surprise me a bit.
So, how did you become aware of Sunday Assembly? Did people from London knock on your door one day and say, "Would you do this for us?"
Jehovah's Witness style? No,
Have you heard the better news?
not exactly. One of my friends on Facebook just put something up. Hey, have you heard about this? And I clicked on it, like, what the heck? And so I went to the website and started reading about it, and I thought, I really like this concept. This is something I could be passionate about. And there was a place, just a button to click on to express interest. Just type in your name and your email address if you're interested in starting one in your community. And so about, I don't know, a month or so later, an intern at headquarters in London contacted me. And that was actually her whole job, was just helping new assemblies get started. And so she put me in touch with Dan, who
Apparently, it
was the
also
other person
clicked on a button.
had clicked on the button and given him his email address. And then from there, we just went out and started talking to the rationalists and the atheist society. And I put an ad in the Metro Pulse, and we had an interest meeting at a restaurant here in town, and the rest is history.
All righty. So, was there a background reason about wanting? So you said a Facebook friend had forwarded to you something on this.
Of why I
why
personally-
would you want to be particularly involved? Why was that of interest?
Because I just felt, I don't know if this is the best way to put it, I don't want to sound like a whiny child, but it's just not fair that church groups get to have an excuse to get together and a cause to rally around and have rummage sales and potluck dinners and go on all these fun trips, and it's like we don't have that impetus to get together, that thing to organize around. And so I grew up in the Methodist church, and I miss aspects about it, but I didn't want to go, I never really bought into the whole thing, the main reason you go to church, and I don't want to go to church and just fake it and pretend just for the sake of having like-minded people to hang out with. So I thought that this is something that every town needs, because I know I'm not the only one that feels that way.
All righty. Well, and I know that there are members of both ASK and RET who still go to church because they want community. And I don't know that I've asked many of them if their fellow churchgoers know their worldview or not, but I know some of them want to participate in singing opportunities, and some may feel kind of a cultural connection as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I'm one of those churchgoers, if you wish. I'm a member of the West Side Unitarian Universalist Church. In fact, I'm a founding member. And I alternate going there with the RET meetings. When we have our regular RET meetings, I'm there. And then on occasions, I duck out quickly and go over to the dinner that they may have on the third Sunday. But I am recognized as an open atheist. In fact, the previous minister, when she needed to an example of an atheist, there was Jonas.
There was Jonas.
Yeah.
All right. And I assume that's the minister that we've had on our show. We've interviewed her, and I've misplaced her name.
Mitra Jafarzadeh.
There we go. Yeah. Well, and I know that nationally, many Unitarian churches will have, in a sense, a non-belief subgroup that there's no. It's an open secret. It's not even a secret, let's say.
Yeah, in fact, RAT started that way. It started as a group within the Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church called the Reality Fellowship. And eventually it split off and became independent. And I suppose that there are now others in that congregation that hold to the more ungodly views. In fact, I view one of my purposes, one of my activities within the Westside congregation is to try to keep the discussion broad so that others who have similar non-beliefs feel comfortable in speaking out.
So it was organized out of London. What kind of support do they provide to?
Oh gosh.
Okay. Oh gosh.
Oh gosh. It's actually really great. We're not having to reinvent the wheel every time we want to do something. They've got a Google group that supports, they call it the Sunday Assembly Everywhere Network. And if you have a question about any aspect of putting on a Sunday assembly, I mean, from needing inspiration on themes or songs or SMOOPs, which is the acronym for small groups, just
Okay.
small group ideas. They're there. They've got contacts. You can call, email. They do webinars once a month. They have a newsletter. They've got a blog. They've got Twitter. They've got Facebook. I mean,
So if any of our out-of-state viewers are watching, that would be a way that, someone from Chattanooga who might be watching today and has been thinking of doing this could actually follow through. It strikes me that Asheville is probably a prime location for a Sunday assembly. They have a relatively liberal social environment
I
there.
would think so. They do have a startup kit they send you when you first are getting one started that has presentations, like a PowerPoint template and like images you can use when you're setting up your social media accounts and flyers and things like that. They make it as easy for you as they possibly can.
Well, how locally are you organized? Do you have a board of directors, a president, or a leader, or?
I've kind of been the reluctant leader. I don't consider myself a leader, but I just feel I am the type of person that will step up and do something that I see needs to happen. And so from the interest meeting, we did get a really good group of core volunteers that we call the steering committee. like Alita and Carl Ledendecker and John Crittenden and Imam and a few other people. So that makes it really a lot easier because I couldn't do this if it was just me or one or two other people.
Did you say Imam?
Oh, yeah, I know he's been on this show.
Yeah, I interviewed him some time ago.
He has 4 names.
Yes.
Imam, Fatah, something.
I have the problem that I cannot find him in my telephone because I can't remember his last name, and the
He'll be
phone
mad at me for that.
doesn't organize by first name nicely. But I guess if I just purged the other names, then I could maybe find him. So within the program, I heard you mention help you select music. So maybe tell the viewers when you say music, what does that mean? You got a pipe organ?
No.
Not yet, huh?
Not yet.
Keyboard?
We're getting there.
Getting there.
It basically follows the layout of a church service, which some people complain it's too churchy. And I'm like, well, that's kind of the point, is to be like church minus the God stuff. And we actually have a program printed out and a greeter and an usher. I think we have a caller.
We have a caller?
Oh,
Well, go ahead,
caller?
Jonas.
Well, caller, please give us your name or nickname so we can speak to you.
Oh, this is Al.
Hello, Al.
Al, we were just talking about you. Hadn't heard from you in a long
Are
time.
you talking about me behind my back?
Oh, yes,
Well,
yes. We hadn't heard from you.
Nothing good, I'm sure nothing good. You'd never have me on your show, would you?
Oh, Al.
I don't think you would.
You often are, Al.
Huh?
You often are, Al. But Al, we were concerned because we hadn't heard from you over the holidays. Did you have good holidays?
Yes, I did.
All right.
How about you?
The Ericksons had the traditional Hungarian soup. There's no Hungarian in our descendancy, but we have
Well, I'd like
Hungarian
to
soup.
taste that Hungarian soup.
Yeah.
Never heard of it. Must be delicious.
It's a cabbage soup.
I like cabbage soup.
It's like borscht without the beets.
Oh, without the beef.
Beets without the beets.
Well, Al, what can we do for you today?
Well, I just want to answer some questions for these people on TV that are about the church.
When you say about the church, I'm not sure where you're going.
I want to explain what a church is.
Okay. There are going to be more than one definitions. Why don't you give us yours?
There's only one in the Greek.
Yeah, well, but okay.
There's
Well,
only
go ahead.
one in the Greek.
Go ahead and give us yours, and we'll tell you some others.
We don't speak Greek, Al. So,
Well,
in
if
our
you want
common,
to find out what a church is, you have to go back to the Greek.
well, I think we should use what is commonly understood when we talk to someone about a church. We need to talk in ways that they understand.
Well, I
from their.
will. I will.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
You'll put me on.
You are on. There's no call screener today. You've been live the whole time.
You're kidding me.
You're on air right now. Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Oh,
Wait
yes.
a minute. Let me look at my TV. Wave at me. Or something. Lift a hand up.
I'm waving. I'm waving.
Nobody's waving up. Hey! So I've been on.
Yes.
So I've been on the air.
All right. Yeah. So
Oh,
tell us
stink.
about
I didn't
church. Tell us about church.
I didn't know I was on the air. You're not supposed to surprise me like that.
Oh, well.
We don't have a call screener today because Jonas is here in the studio with me.
Well, okay. Would you have me on your show sometime?
We could think about it, but let's not negotiate that on the air, okay?
All right. Well, let me explain to you what a church is. Okay? You go back to the Greek, it's called ecclesia. And
All
it
right.
means this. It's a group of called out believers set for the defense of the gospel of Jesus Christ. There's no other meaning for church.
All righty.
A gathering of believers set for the propagation of the gospel.
Uh-huh. So,
That's what a church is.
and of course, then,
You can't get 5 people in a room and say it's a church.
Well, you're not necessarily in charge of the whole world, Al. So, Adrian, did you guys say that you call yourself a church without supernatural? How did you describe it?
Can't do it.
We say it's like a church.
Like a church,
It
okay.
follows.
Okay, so then call it like a church, but don't call it a church because it's not a church and can't get a 501(c) exemption.
Well, Al,
Actually, we can.
and let's point out, Al, they call it Sunday Assembly.
That don't make a diff.
Well, they're not calling it church, so you're making an issue where there isn't
No,
one.
she called it a church.
I believe she...
It's like a church.
Yeah, okay. So, Al...
Also, it's just a bunch of people meeting together,
Yeah.
trying to be churchy or
Without,
church-like.
it's
Yeah.
church-like without deity, dogma, or doctrine.
Well, that's not a church.
Yeah.
That's just a bunch of people gathering together with different views.
All right. Well, I have something for Al, but do you have anything, Jonas?
Oh, go ahead.
So Al, let's explain.
Yeah.
The United States government grants tax-exempt status to some organizations that are religious organizations
Yeah,
or churches.
they're bad ones, too.
And in particular, the Rationalists of East Tennessee qualifies. The
Yeah,
Rationalists
that's
of
what
East
I
Tennessee
said. There
is
are some bad things that are qualifying.
Sure. Let me finish.
Okay.
So the reason we qualify is that the government is not in the business of dictating what is and is not a church, because that would be establishing a church. So what the IRS says is that if you have a congregation, you are a church. And
That's what the government says?
And in particular, it also, so amongst the tests is that you have a congregation. That prevents these radio broadcasters from calling themselves churches where they don't have people showing up. They just got a television station or a radio station.
Yeah,
So-
it's not a church.
so-
They just have a radio station.
yeah. And also is that your primary mission is not educational. So in the case of Sunday Assembly, your primary mission is not educational, is it?
No, the primary mission is just a celebration of life, the one life that we know we have.
But it is also getting together. That's why you assemble. So the word assembly is going to be similar to
Well, just leave the
congregation.
church out.
Yeah.
The word church out, because the word church means called out assembly of believers set for the defense of the gospel. In the Greek, ecclesia, look it up for yourself.
Yeah, and we use the word church to explain it as a simile.
A simile.
Yes, simile. It is similar to. So we said, well, Adrian said, like a church. All
It's
right?
a contradiction
Yeah, well,
in terms.
well, when we say like a church, but not, we're delineating that it's not a church. So I think we made that clear. Al, thanks for
Well-
calling. We were genuinely worried about you, and we should
No,
clear
I'm
the
still
line.
alive and well.
right.
You know, I just wanted to clear it up. Don't call it a church at all.
All right. Well, we can't promise
Call it
we
a
won't
group
make
of
that
people
simile.
meeting or something, but
All right.
leave that word out because it means something else altogether different. And anybody who knows the Bible or the Greek or the Hebrew and stuff like that, they know that you're not a church.
Okay, thank you for calling, Al.
Thanks, Al.
Thank you.
All righty.
That was fun.
Yep. So we were talking about the support you get, and you talked about a kit. I think
And
I'd
what
asked questions about song
What an actual
choice.
assembly consists of.
All right.
Okay, so we have a program, and we have an usher that passes it out and greets people as they're coming in the door, and we sing songs, and we have live music, and we have a segment where it's called I'm Doing My Best, where someone gets up and relates a personal experience and how it relates to that month's theme. Like I've been to an assembly in Atlanta where they had a girl talk about how she's demonstrated resilience in her everyday life. And then whereas a normal church service would have a sermon, that's where we would have either our live speaker or show a TED Talk, which are always super interesting. And then at the end, we've started doing potluck dinners because everybody loves to get together and eat good food. It's just part of the human experience. So
Yes, people have been getting together to eat and for a long time, and I think that's the origin behind an awful lot of what we would look at and think of as religious-like practices.
Right.
It is a communal meal. I'm fond of saying that when you read in the Old Testament, or if you read the Iliad, which is the Greek equivalent, you will hear about their ceremonial religious practices, but they involve animal sacrifice and the aroma of cooking meat. And you know, sometimes they're kind of poetic and they'll say, well, that aroma is what's going to feed God, and we're going to eat the rest. And you know, this was important. You know, if you, in an age before refrigeration, if you were going to slaughter a large animal, one family is not going to eat all that. It's going to go to waste. So you've got to share with your neighbors, and so you create a social contract where they're going to be expected to slaughter an animal and let you share as well.
we don't kill anything.
No animal sacrifice.
Nope.
Well, I was going to ask about song choices, though. I think I was trying to creep towards that subject more than
Oh,
once.
gosh.
What song choices? Can you remember some you've done?
You're kind of putting me on the spot here. Just mostly like pop songs and rock and roll. I can't even think of one.
Well, I remembered especially liking the one whose chorus is "I can see clearly now the rain is gone."
Oh yeah, yep.
I loved that song when it came out in the 70s, and
They're always really catchy songs that end up getting stuck in my head for the whole next week solid.
So, are you the song chooser, or does the committee do that?
We all
Or you
have
delegate
say in that.
All right.
Yeah. It would be nice to just have a music director. I know that's the way that some assemblies are set up, and just say, here, you handle it. But we have yet to have someone step up and just take that on solely by themselves. So right now, it's every bit of it is a communal effort, I feel like.
So, is it all pre-recorded music?
We do it karaoke style.
Okay.
Kind of like you can get on YouTube and just search for any song with lyrics, but we make our own slides because it's better sound quality, and just sing along to that.
Looking on the internet to Sunday assemblies, they seem to have musicians on stage. I visited a cousin in Texas a couple of years ago, and she took me to one. I went with her to one of her church services on Wednesday, and I mean, it was like a rock concert.
We don't have anything like that yet. I mean, like I said, this has only been going since September, so it's still pretty new. We're just kind of getting our sea legs, but a big part of it is we're not just here. The steering committee isn't here just to put on a show once a month and say, oh, let us entertain you, now everybody go home. We really, there's going to be a big push this year to get more feedback and more involvement, and try to look for some live, like a band. Because right now Larry Rhodes provides our live music, and he can sing and play the guitar. But
All right, Ramblin' Roads.
yeah, but I know he's really good about it. I know he doesn't like being stuck with that responsibility every month, but
Okay, so you do have a live performer.
we do.
We do have all right. So what has been attendance like? I mean, you know, can you remember your peak attendance?
I'd say the best one we've had so far was probably the November assembly on gratitude, and it's usually around, I want to say 35, give or take, people.
Adults?
Not all adults. A lot of
right.
people ask the question, are kids welcome? Is it family friendly? And it very much so is. That's a big part of what we want to accomplish, is just having something in the Knoxville Freethought community that's family friendly. Because, I mean, ask is great, but they go to a bar on Tuesday night, and you can't have babies in bars. And RET is great, but it would be kind of boring to a 6-year-old. No offense.
Yes.
Well, I would be interested in hearing, say, a year from now, how well things have worked out, because RET has tried in the past
to have programs for the children, and part of the problem is that the people who are taking care of the children want to hear what's going on, and so I remember, many years ago, I taught a religious education class at the Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church, and during that period, I was pretty much isolated. I took care of the kids during the services and afterwards, and then I didn't get to meet all of the people that I was going there to associate with, and so you really need a large group, a large congregation,
And you have to
in order
take
to do
turns
this.
with that kind of stuff.
So that no one's a prisoner to it.
Yeah.
Unless
no
you
one wants
hire
to feel like it's a burden and it's a drag, you know. But it is also a shared responsibility. So, like Alita, she's worked with kids for years, and so she helps. And Joy, she does some of the kids' crafts as well, and so.
So I didn't make the November meeting. What kind of crafts or activities did you have for youngsters?
In December, it was just like making pasta, little Christmas ornaments out of pasta and spray paint. But they were pre-spray painted, and then they did just like the gratitude theme was a tree and just writing things you're grateful for, and then get up and present. But they don't have to present if they don't want to, because a lot of kids are shy.
What was the age range of the youngsters?
Well, I have a daughter that's almost 7, and she was there, and Joy has a daughter, and Nathan has 3 kids, and Justice has 3 kids that just range in age from babies up to 10, 11, 12. Because there's kind of a gray area of when are they too old to sit back there and play with Legos. But I feel
teenagers wouldn't like that.
because of the way the service is and the type of songs that we sing, I feel like it's more engaging to kids at a younger age than a traditional church service. Because when you're singing hymns, that's kind of dry, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, pop songs will be appealing to a younger age group. All right.
Well, Lee, you know, I think we have reached the time for our midterm break.
All righty. Let's see if I can find that section here.
Oh,
In case you're just tuning in, this is Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. Freethought Forum is funded jointly by them and by individual contributions. Shows are live most Tuesdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern on this community access television channel. Ooh, my notes are old. I think it's channel 12, and then there's another channel.
194.
194.
Charter.
And you can tell your out-of-town friends that they can watch us streaming online at ctvknox.org. Did you find your part of the script?
Okay. Let me add one more point. When I spoke with Joe, when he asked me to fill in for him, he wanted to let the viewers know what the show for next week,
That's
the planned show for next week. Next week, Joe Barnhart and Phil King, who used to be treasurer and maybe president of RET and so on, are going to be conducting a discussion on what is objectivity.
All righty.
Phil brings the scientist perspective, and Joe brings in the philosopher's kind of point of view.
All right, so that'll be next week. All right, do we have our video here? All right, make it so.
The Knoxville area and are questioning your religious beliefs or simply believe in one less God than everyone else? Well, you're not alone. The Atheist Society of Knoxville is a fun and friendly group of people just like you that meets twice a week at a bar or restaurant. We meet every Tuesday night following the show at Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria for happy hour. You'll find our group either inside or on the patio. Look for Richard Dawkins' silver-jacketed book, The God Delusion, standing upright on the table. On Fridays, we meet at Agave Azul or the Beard and Beer Market. But if you plan to preach, proselytize, provoke, or punch, please don't. We all question what we believe at one point in our lives. If this is the time for you, come join us for food, drink, conversation, and fun. Do you find stories of talking snakes laughable? Do you prefer the scientific method over supernatural beliefs? Are you concerned about religious leaders and organizations imposing their values and rules on your body, your family, and the rest of our society? Well, take comfort in the fact that you're not alone. The Rationalists of East Tennessee meets weekly for fellowship and provides a forum for people who support skeptical thinking and rational discussion of these and other issues. To find out more information or to find out about our next meeting, visit us on the web at www.rationalist.org. If you live in or around...
All right, looks like we're back.
Remind them that this is a call-in show, and we're live today, January the 11th? 13th. Okay. And viewers can call into the number on the screen with a short comment or question, as we have noticed already. The Atheist Society is sponsored by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and and Rationalists of East Tennessee, as we have indicated. The Atheist Society of Knoxville, or ASK, meets 2 times a week. We have evening meetups for fun, food, drink, and conversation. ASK's purpose is to supply a venue for community, camaraderie, and outreach to atheists, agnostics, freethinkers, and other like-minded persons in East Tennessee. The Tuesday meeting is going on right?
It's now.
Yes, right now.
Right now.
Started 14 minutes ago at Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria in Knoxville in the Old City.
All right. I was going to mention the Rationalists of East Tennessee Book Club. The February book is An Astronaut's Guide to Life on Earth by Chris Hadfield. Chris got quite a bit of notoriety when his viral version of David Bowie's Space Oddity got played all over the internet and mentioned on news stories. And he's written a marvelous biographical book, and that will be book club of February 8th. And I need to caution you to keep an eye on the RET website for updates at times and location. We may be moving a location. I haven't gotten word yet on that.
Oh, what else happens in February?
Tell me, Jonas.
Darwin Day.
Darwin Day. That's right. Charles Darwin's birthday is somewhere in the second week of February. And we will be having programs both probably the first and second week here on Freethought Forum talking about evolution and Darwin Day, and the content of which is still to be firmed up. Did you have something more specific to mention?
Well, no, just wanted to mention that. And there are activities going on at the University of Tennessee that...
Yeah, they will typically they have activities during the day focused at students, and then they have traditionally had evening classes that are meant for, like junior high school and high school teachers who are going to be maybe teaching biology and want to get more capable at teaching the subject. Usually there is some kind of a guest speaker. Past speakers have included Michael Shermer, a gentleman who wrote one of the important biology textbooks. His name is Miller, but I lost Mr. Miller's first name. I don't know who this year's speaker is. Perhaps we'll think to mention it next week.
Both the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee help to provide a social outlet where you'll find that if you don't believe in God, you are not alone. Okay.
Right. Well, let's get back to our guest here, Adrienne Weber. She's the organizer of the Sunday Assembly of Knoxville. And we've covered some of what that's all about, but we haven't maybe talked about your volunteer work. You've done some volunteer work?
We have done some volunteer work. I think there's some pictures up here. let's see. That first one is the interest meeting that we had, and then that one in the top right-hand corner of the screen. I don't know what you call that, but it's just like when they search on prevalently used terms in conjunction with Sunday Assembly, and they came up with that, and it just
Okay.
a lot of adjectives. And then at the bottom there, that's actually you dancing at the very first assembly we ever had. But we've done volunteer work with ETAC, which stands for the East Tennessee Technology Access Center, working as toy adapter elves to adapt toys so handicapped children can use them. We've also worked with Remote Area Medical, which is a really great organization. I mean, they all are, but it's actually based out of East Tennessee, and it was founded by the Wild Kingdom, Mutual of Stan Brock.
Stan Brock, yeah.
He's a really cool guy, and they do a lot of, they provide medical, dental, and vision care for uninsured and uninsured people, and so a few of us volunteered with a homeless clinic downtown with the Volunteer Ministry Center, and I personally helped make lenses for 86 pairs of glasses.
I think we may have a slide on that. If we could advance a slide or two,
That's it.
Is that the one? That may
In
be
the
you
top
right over your
corner,
head.
that's at ETAC, but the other ones,
All
that's
right.
me in the middle, and then the truck, the optical van, and then in the bottom left is all the glasses frames that they need help sorting. Just thousands of frames
So
and lenses.
explain, why are you sorting glasses frames, or what's
Just by
with
prescription.
glasses? So glasses are donated to Remote Area Medical, and then they have to be measured
Sorted
and
according
then
to prescription.
categorized.
That's actually volunteer work that can be done at their headquarters. But then they also organize outings out in the community, and they're usually done on weekends. And you have to get there at the crack of dawn. I'm talking 5 o'clock in the morning, and to accept all these people that come in that line up, and they just take a number and they take them in order. So there's a lot of opportunities there. There's actually an upcoming event I'm going to talk about in a minute. But then we've also done work with the Barn Project, with the Blount County Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. And a lady basically donated a lot of her land, and they're working on a barn just to house animals that have been abused. I know they've taken in horses and a lot of pit bulls. So that's a really worthwhile cause as well.
So that's been an activity where I know some members have contributed mostly by swinging hammers and cutting wood.
Bob and Dave have been really active.
Is there going to be anything? Do you know of any needs for helping with the animals themselves, or what other opportunities there might be?
I haven't been as involved personally with that project as much as I have with Remote Area Medical.
Well, perhaps we'll have someone else to interview then, and we can get the
Maybe.
details on that. So I can't help but think, I've met Stan Brock a few times myself, and I can't help but think, did he speak about his, he's written a book about some of his, life adventures, and one of them has a real catchy title. Do you remember the title of his
can't
catchy
remember
book?
the title.
The Cowboys Were Indians.
Oh, okay.
And it was about, being a cowboy in South America.
Guyana.
With Native Americans, Indians, and that it was that experience that made him aware of the fact that getting emergency medical access in remote
Chris
areas
Hall.
of the world are tough.
Chris Hall, when he came to the December assembly, told us the story. It's actually really interesting. I think, do we have time for me to talk about that?
We got 9 minutes.
Okay, so he, when he got down there, this ranch was thousands of acres. I mean, not like any ranch we have here. And they gave him a horse that his name was Spanish for devil, that had already killed.
Diablo.
I think that's what it was. Had already killed 2 other of their Indians or cowboys. And so he ran into the side of a barn with him on it, and somehow in that process also kicked him in the skull. And so the nearest doctor was 26 days on foot. And
Yeah.
so he had to travel 26 days with pieces of his skull fragments poking out. And that was just a really eye-opening experience for him to realize that. And he was talking to an astronaut, I forget who it was, and he was like, even on the moon, we're only 3 days away
Yes.
from medical care. Like, no one should live in that remote of an area that it takes that long.
I admire what they do. They've got a DC-3 that they fly down to South America. And
I think there's a picture of it.
I
one of
don't think it got it worked in,
Oh,
'cause
okay.
it was a big picture and it didn't fit. But you know, that's not a non-trivial thing to, you know, make a flying hospital keep going. And
And they have all kinds of volunteers. I mean, general volunteers are the easiest to come by, so those slots get filled the fastest, but they're always looking for, like, opticians and dentists and hygienists and people with more specialized expertise,
Well,
even
yeah.
people that can parachute the supplies in.
oh man, there's an image.
Yep.
All righty. So we've kind of covered some of the volunteer activities. What do you guys do for fun?
Oh, for fun, we've done a lot of different things. We've had a picnic at the Cove at Concord Park and spent a day on the Cumberland Plateau, just checking out what all that area has to offer. We've also cycled the Old Walland Highway and the Melton Lake Greenway. I haven't personally made it out to all of these outings, but I'd like to do more. The Bruce Creek Falls hike was a good one.
Where's Bruce Creek? I don't recognize
It's
that.
a little bit east or west of here. I think there might be some pictures of that one as well. We did a horseback riding excursion in the Smokies. That was really fun. Paddling, you know, you can rent paddle boards and canoes and stuff out at IAMS. I think we did a Smokies game. We did the Lost Sea Adventure down, if you take 75 south down towards Athens and that area. That was something I'd always wanted to do, so that was pretty cool. Going down in a lake in a cave and feeding fish in a boat. I mean, where else in the world can you do that?
You didn't find any magic rings or anything on the way down to the lake or anything?
No,
like that? Okay,
unfortunately. There was a
doesn't happen
moonshine
often.
still.
Really?
Yes.
All right.
And you could see smoke on the ceiling of the cave from where Indians used to have powwows.
Okay.
And then it was used in the Civil War and just actually a lot of history there. So we've got a
Alrighty.
few upcoming events where we have an Ice Bears game on the docket. That's Friday, January 23rd against the Columbus Cottonmouths. And then we're doing a movie night at the clubhouse February 1st, I believe. Going to be watching a movie called Collision with Christopher Hitchens debating a Presbyterian pastor. And it's supposed to be a pretty civil debate. No one's name-calling or putting each other down. And then also our next volunteer event is with Remote Area Medical Super Bowl weekend. It's February 6th, 7th, and 8th at the Jacobs Building at Chilhowie Park. So,
Well, you've got quite the schedule there.
yes, we do.
Well, let me ask you, do you have a web page
We do have a webpage. I think
so that people could visit that web page and find this information about activities?
we have a web page, a Facebook page, and a Meetup page, which I didn't even know about meetup.com until I went to start organizing Sunday Assembly, and then I found out what a great thing that is. And then Ask has a page on there.
Within the Freethought community, Meetup has somehow become the principal resource. I'm a member of several Freethought meetups, so that I can kind of get some situational awareness of what groups nearby us are doing, because I keep thinking maybe we'll coordinate. And You know, there's a very active group in Nashville. They go hiking all the time. They go bowling. They call that activity heathen bowling, as I recall. And I'm a member of a Phoenix meetup group because I was in Phoenix one weekend and looked for a meetup group, and they were meeting that morning, and I went
wow.
and met some interesting people, and so I kind of listen in on their activities now and then.
Mm-hmm.
So is there an easy to remember way to find this information?
The main website is knoxville-tn.sundayassembly.com. And if you go to that webpage, then that has links to the Facebook page, which you can like, and the meetup page as well.
Is membership secret
On
any of or all of these groups? In the case of the Atheist Society of Knoxville, we have a Facebook page, but it's secret because there are members who do not want their non-belief known. Mm-hmm. And so do you have similar concern amongst your membership?
We do. We actually are in the process of setting up a separate public and private Facebook page. I believe right now you can't see who the members are, but you can see what is posted. Mm-hmm. And then the meetup page is, you can see who the other members are, mm-hmm. but not until you become a member yourself. So it's like, why would you?
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
And so you have someone who vets them. Someone would apply to become a member, and you'd ask, why do you want to be a member? Do you agree to, do you understand and agree that, the membership of this group is confidential and you're not allowed to disclose it, that kind of thing?
I don't think it's that rigorous, but maybe it should.
The Atheist Society of Knoxville has that degree of rigor. Larry could probably help you on the
Well, I
verbiage
mean,
on
it's
that.
not all atheists. It's, agnostics or existentialists or naturalists. So I do feel like the label atheist does have a big stigma here in the South especially. But it's so much more broad than that. I feel like people shouldn't be afraid to be associated with it because it's the celebration of life, and I think it has appeal for a wide range of people that have been disenfranchised for one reason or another and just looking for a place.
Are not
to call home.
comfortable with a churchy church.
Right.
They want to assemble on a Sunday with people who want to have community and not talk about the supernatural.
Yeah,
Well,
that sums it up right there.
Our RET is much like that, in that we have no belief requirement or non-belief requirement, and
We have some believers, you would think of them as very, very liberal believers.
yeah. Although, admittedly, most of the members are of the non-believing.
It would be around 90% would call themselves atheists or agnostic or skeptics. I think that would cover the larger group.
Well,
Jonas, we
I
are at
think
the
it's
end
time
of
to close the
time.
program, start wrapping up. If you want to contact us before our next show, get out your pen and paper, and write down our contact information. This has been Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. I am Jonas Holdeman.
And I'm Faithless Forrest. Our guest is Adrienne Weber. Did I get it right?
You did.
All right.
Thank you so much for having me.
We want to thank our viewers and our caller and Sam for tech support and the staff at CTV KNOX. And remember that nuns are the fastest growing religious category. And right here in East Tennessee, you've got ASK and our